What is going on, Bucs fans? We're here at the Power Parlay Podcast on the Sick Podcast Network. I'm your host, JC. We're here after a Bucs victory Sunday. A gritty game. The Bucs willed it out, took an early lead, and never looked back. We'll get into all the recap, the stats, statistics, injury news, and much more here once we get back on the other side.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Pirate Parlay.
Battle intercepted, picked off in the end zone. Bucs are going to beat the Chiefs. We're the champions of the world.
The sickest Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast. It's going to be sick.
What is going on, Bucs fans? Big win today for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers up in the Motor City, beating the Detroit Lions 20-16. It was I guess you would call it a hard-fought game, hard-fought victory for the Bucs. Down several players on the offense and defensive side of the ball, most notably Antoine Winfield Jr., Kalijah Kancey out for the defense, while Luke Gedeke was out for the offense at right tackle. But the Buccaneers somehow found a way to win, limiting the Lions and their potent offensive attack with just a masterful game plan by head coach Todd Bowles. Probably the best game plan he's had since the Chiefs, and certainly the best game plan he's had as a head coach. Just kind of making the Lions beat them without utilizing some of their other key players. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown went off, had 19 targets, 11 receptions, 119 yards, but really quiet day for Sam Laporta. Quiet days for David Montgomery after a big week last week. Jameson Williams, really quiet day, was targeted a bunch, but in his relative standards had the big 50-yard play, but after that, they took him away as well. Just a great game plan by Bowles, and a great execution by that defense. You had guys stepping in to roles that they normally don't play. Obviously, Christian Izzy in the big one played nickelback all last year as an undrafted free agent, slides into that free safety spot for Antoine Winfield Jr. and plays lights out. Had a couple plays he'd probably like to have back, but pretty solid in run support. Had some nice coverage plays, some pass breakups. I think at the end of the day with two of those. And then obviously the interception there and the tackle that saved the first down when the Lions were out in the goal line before they got the ball back after the Bucs punted it. But huge game by him. Servassier Dennis, as Christopher O'Reilly says, grown man. He showed out, balled out as well. He came in those nickel situations, had 10 tackles on the day, a couple game-saving tackles as well down there when the Lions were threatening to score. Huge game by him and a huge game by Zion McCollum. I've been talking about McCollum all offseason. You guys have heard me. He's going to have a big game. What does he do? First play of the day for Jared Goff in that Lions offense, and he intercepts it. Almost has another one, but it's ripped out of his hands by Amon-Ra St. Brown. Just a heads-up play there by a veteran wide receiver, and comes away with a huge pass deflection on Jameson Williams while the Lions were trying to score at the end of the game there too. Excellent day on the defense. And they did that too without Vita Vea, who left the game early with a knee injury. I posted the video. It looked like what happened there was he was on the Bucs third down stop that forced the field goal that brought the Lions closer to the Bucs score. He was rushing from the right side as an end, kind of like a 5-tech. He wasn't over the nose like he normally is. And he was rushing on the tackle, and Yaya Diaby was coming around as a looper and just fell into his leg at the end of the play. Per my sources, confirmed as well by Tom Pelissero, and Ian Rappaport, who they just beat me by, but he's dealing with an MCL strain. Normal indications or first indications are that he's going to be okay. It's nothing serious. They avoided an ACL. Obviously, he'll get an MRI tomorrow to confirm that initial diagnosis, but things look positive that he won't miss an extended period of time. We're talking normal recovery for those injuries are 2 to 6 weeks usually. So hopefully it's on the shorter side of that, especially with Kancey already out. I think, when you look at this Broncos team, they should be all right with not having him this week. But when the Eagles come to town, and obviously when you have to travel to Atlanta for that week 5 matchup in the Saints in week 6. You're going to want to have him back out there. So not the worst situation to have. The opposite extreme there of potentially season ender, still down, thorn in your side. It's not something you want to hear, but at least it's not the worst injury prognosis that you could have. But I want to I talked about the defense, right? Joe Tryon-Shank is another guy. I didn't get the sack, but he's had some really strong plays throughout the game. He's another guy I kind of said, keep your eye on him. He just does so many different things well, whether that's dropping in coverage, setting the edge, putting pressure. And the Bucs were able to do that to Goff a lot in the second half, more so, get that pressure against him without having to send that extra person. And when they did, they had a couple of really strong plays. Tyke Smith came in there, had a tackle for a loss for -4 yards. Jordan Whitehead was all over the field today. He had 11 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss. Kind of blew up another guy. Gibbs for a -4 loss too. So didn't get any sacks, but there was tons of pressure on him. The defense, I thought, did a really strong job of playing their assignments, being key in their reads and reacting and getting to the ball quickly. And we saw a lot of gang tackles, and that's the type of stuff that's gonna have you win in a tough environment. It was difficult to hear. It was very loud. And you could tell that by, Baker had to take a timeout early on in that game because he just couldn't hear anything. So before we get into the offense, I want to say what's up to everybody out in the comments. I appreciate you. We got Bry in the comments. Richard says, grinder of a game. What a way for the backups to step up, minus school. Zion with his first career pick. He balled today. I agree. Jacko says, how go with JC? It goes well. Bucs victory is always a good day. Patriots took it to overtime. They're looking better than prognosticated. I'm happy about that. Great win today, says Jacko. Richard says, what's up to Jacko? Richard asked, JC, thoughts on our interior offensive line compared to last season? Do you see improvement? I do see improvement. I think there are still some struggles today. I think Cody kind of struggled a little bit today. He got called for that false start. And then on Aiden Hutchinson's first sack, when they were down in the red zone within the 5, he got beat on a looping Aiden Hutchinson that led to that strip sack. So, that was kind of a tough thing for him. He had his hands full with a little bit with Levi Onwuzurike. Got that one right. Washington product of all people. But I think they're going to be much better. Barton got beat one time, but he can't be perfect. He's a rookie. I think as the season progresses and they get more under their belt, I think they're going to continue to grow and be stronger and stronger. As the offense goes, they will go, and as they go, the offense goes. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they grow as a unit. Obviously, I think Wirfs was great. Had a bounce back game after having some struggles last week. And I think, when Gedeke gets back, you're fine there. And I think if anything, School was the starter in this league for the 49ers. So if anything, just kind of, if you didn't appreciate Luke Gedeke and you still had kind of question marks about him from his rookie year, you should, knowing that he erased Aiden Hutchinson last year in 2 meetings, held him to just 4 total pressures, should tell you a lot about how you should feel about how Luke Gedeke and his development has been. 4.5 sacks for Hutchinson. 4.5 sacks. Yeah, it was a tough day for School. School got schooled. He had 3.5. He allowed 3.5 of those sacks. Obviously, as I mentioned, Mock with the other one, but tough day for School. But I think they'll bounce back if Gedeke's back, which I think he should be. If he's not, it's really worrisome that he's out for 2 weeks with a concussion. Might have to start wearing those Guardian caps. But before we switch over to the offense, I always want to give a shout out to our great sponsors here. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Cruise. Guys, if you haven't got your tickets yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. I know it can be a little pricey, but you can put a payment plan in action and pay it down till December. It's worth it. If you can't afford to bring your family, find a babysitter. It's so much fun. And that's going to be it's the ultimate fan experience at sea. March 7th to the 10th. This 2025, join fellow Krewe and Bucs players such as Jordan Whitehead, Brad Johnson, Trey Palmer, Graham Barton, Yaya Diaby, Jamel Dean was just, Zion McCollum, looks like Jalen McMillan might be going on. So many more. They've upped the ante. Mike Allstott's making his first appearance. That was just announced the other day. And also Derek Brooks will be there as well. So many great players. It's an unforgettable time on this vacation. It's got so many different events, a sail away party, trivia contest, bingo, cocktail parties where you actually get to talk and interact with these guys and aren't rushed through like an autograph line, player panels, which are always fun, water volleyball competition, theme parties, so much more that keep the party going all cruise long. Don't miss your opportunity to celebrate your team, celebrate lasting memories, and create them with fans and your favorite Bucs players. Check out Tampa Bay Bucks Cruise if you haven't already. Back at it. Offensive side of the ball. Baker, Friggin, Mayfield. LFB. There were times of this game where he put the team on his back. And we've seen that time and time again. The running game just struggled to get going. There was kind of no push up front. And let's not take away from the studs that the Lions have. They've got a Lee McNeil, who's one of the best run stuffers in the NFL, and DJ Reader, who they picked up from the Bengals, who's right up there with them, and a nice rotational guy in Live Wanzarike. They have a stout interior. Alex Anzalone is one of the better linebackers that can cover sideline to sideline, and Derek Barnes can be a problem. In fact, the Bucs ran to the right side a lot because the Lions were playing in their base package most of the game, not in nickel, and Derek Barnes was on that left side. They felt like their chances to run to the right side, even with Hutchinson there, was a little bit stronger than running into the left side with Barnes right there. So, but again, non-existent. Outside of Baker and his 34 yards rushing, Bucky Irving, seven rushes for 22 yards. Rachaad White, 10 rushes for 18 yards. Just nothing going on the ground, nothing doing at all. And even the screen game that they tried to implement, the Lions covered that really good. Rachaad was only targeted once for 5 yards. Godwin had a screen that could have went for more if Jalen McMillan held on to his block. Probably would have been a touchdown there. But really, they kind of took away the screen game. They took away the running game from them. And Baker had to, again, put it on his back. He had that 11-yard run for a first down. And then right after that, they called the design, which we learned after the game was a designed run for him to score that touchdown where, ankle breaker Mayfield, word bum says. He just put Malcolm Rodriguez on skates and juked him out of his shoes. It kind of reminded me of when Tom Brady juked out Brian Urlacher back in the day, Obviously, Baker's a little bit more of a scrambler. But when he needed to make plays, he stepped up and made plays. Obviously, he had the interception. His passer rating was still 90.9, so it wasn't terrible. Much better than Goff's, who had a 61.7 passer rating, threw for 185 yards, and, of course, that 41-yard touchdown to Chris Godwin. And, my God, what a magnificent play call that was. You just watch that play call, and you're like, wow, beautifully designed, beautifully executed. I thought it might be a screen there, and Godwin just takes off, runs towards the end zone, and walks in untouched. Just an amazing job by him, and just amazing job by Godwin to begin with. I mean, he started the game with receptions of 17, 18, 19 yards for 2 first downs, had 5 first downs or 4 first downs altogether, had the touchdown. Had finished the game with 7 receptions on 8 targets for 117 yards and a touchdown, the long 41-yard touchdown we just mentioned. And then more than half of those go for first downs. I think for the season right now he's got 8 catches last week, 7 this week. I don't math well. I think that's 15, and 8 of them, so more than half of them, have gone for first downs. He's just a chain moving animal. He's going to have a heck of a season. I talked about it with you guys. I talked about buying the stock. I talked about the Cooper Kupp role, and you're seeing it. You're seeing him go after it today, and really kind of be that go-to target for Godwin. And teams just don't have an answer for him. He's back to his form there pre-ACL, so he's getting that separation. He can, make those tough catches over the middle, make those tough sideline catches. And you can see the explosiveness is back when he's, getting the yards after catch too. So heck of a game by Godwin, I think. I think just as much Baker had a heck of a game. Other than that, really quiet day in offense. Evans had 3 for 42 on 6 receptions. McMillan had 1 for 21. Rachaad White had 1 for 5. Kate Otten was targeted twice, came down with nothing. That's it. I mean, they really weren't passing the ball. They weren't running the ball. They got good field position from turnovers, and they were able to kick some, clutch field goals. McLaughlin is back to normal form. Fans can relax now. He's back to where he was. I know people were having some question marks about him in the preseason, but Word Burn says, I'll take 5 touchdowns, 1 interception, 1 rushing touchdown for the first 2 weeks any day, especially winning both games, talking about Baker Mayfield stats. Bryce says, fun fact after today, Evans is 589 yards from Hopkins to become the leading active wide receiver in yards. Evans has 103 through 2 weeks. Hopkins has 17. He's on pace to lead all active wide receivers in yards by the end of the season, which he also leads all active wide receivers in touchdowns as well. Evans is just a stud. He continues to impress, and you have to resort resources to him, or else he's going to make you pay. The Lions did not single him in coverage at all this game. They did not do it. Evans had to work for every yard he got. They did not give him any opportunity to go off and have himself a day. But if you guys are just joining in, I appreciate you. Make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the reminders on. That way you guys are notified anytime I go live. If you guys are on Twitter, I see like 230 of y'all over there. Appreciate you. I do. Come on over to YouTube. Come on over to YouTube. Like, subscribe, turn the notifications on. We got so much stuff popping off over here. We got athletes, we got coaches, we got front office personnel, we've got behind enemy lines, so much more. And you don't want to miss it. Because sometimes we go live at 8:00 after a game, because that's the only time we can get there. So you guys want to make sure you guys are tuned in and got those reminders turned on. So whenever we go live, we have to record something with the player or something like that. And sometimes these things just happen like that. Day of. They're like, yeah, I can go today. I'm like, all right, let's go. You don't want to miss it, and we can't promote it. So make sure you guys are popping over to YouTube, liking, subscribing. And as Pelagic Computer says, smash that like more than Hutchinson smashed school. That's not cool. Slim Stag with a hit the like, y'all, too. I appreciate that. Bryce says through 2 games, Evans averages 1 touchdown a game, while Adams a half a touchdown. By end of season, Evans can lead all active wide receivers in yards and touchdowns. Yeah, he's just absolutely amazing. Neil says, what it do to you, Neil? I don't think we have targeted a tight end once so far this season. Liam had a couple of rough calls, but more good than bad. Much better than Dave Canales. Yeah, I think, he comes in with a little bit more experience there, right? Having called 2 years in Kentucky, having called a few games under Sean McVay. Obviously, we know McVay calls all those calls, but having a few times to be able to get those calls off really definitely helped him, and having McVay kind of be there and be like, all right, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? But I think the rough calls there kind of maybe some of those run calls. But again, I kind of explained it, when they're playing base and you got Derek Barnes, who's a pretty good run stuffer. You try to run away from him as much as you can, because he's going to be a free guy open. And yeah, Kate Otten's targeting the tight ends. They've tried to get him involved. The good thing is when they do get him involved, he's going to be involved because right now he's got really no tape of him as a receiver catching balls this season. So they got the Denver Broncos up next, and the Broncos have no pass rush really. They've got guys who are trying to make a name for them, which can sometimes be a little bit more dangerous than identified and designated pass rushers that you guys know about. But it should allow opportunities for them to kind of kick Otten out a little bit, not have him so close to the line of scrimmage, and kind of go out at the slot and maybe flex out to wide receiver and kind of at that position and get more involved in the offense. But I think it was a great game called by Bowles, probably his best. I think there were some good aspects of it, some fantastic plays called by Cohen. 2 of Godwin's touches, obviously the 41-yard touchdown, but the 19-yard screen pass. Again, if Jalen McMillan can just hold on to that block a little bit, he's gone. He's gone, taking it to the house. And there were some plays too in the running game where, like, the crease was there. If Bucky or Rashad can kind of hit it a little bit quicker or kind of weasel their way through that crease, it becomes, instead of a 3-yard gain, that becomes a big gain. So definitely plenty of stuff to work on. Again, you're playing without Luke Gedeke too. And like I said in my predictions, I think he turns into, at the end of the season, he's rated very high, top 3 in the league at right tackle. Last year, he was 25th out of both sides. And we know left tackles kind of get preferential treatment. But other than that, guys who stood out to me too, Tyke Smith, I thought really had a good game, 7 tackles. You didn't see him out of position. I mentioned he had that one tackle for loss, the 4-yard tackle for loss on Gibbs, kind of just came in and penetrated in the backfield. Dean had 10 tackles on the day, very solid in run support. He had some plays I'm sure you'd like to have back. The Bucs were also playing a lot of zone sometimes too, and there was a few times where St. Brown just knows he's got such good. And if you read my my scouting report on the players leading up, I always do 3 offense, 3 defensive players. He's got such a strong feel for zone and the soft spots in coverage that even if you're playing him tremendously, he's going to find them. And he found those. And one of them was around McCollum. The other, a couple other ones were around Dean. Again, I thought CJ Brewer played a heck of a game, and I know a lot of you guys are fans. I thought Mike Green played really strong too. But CJ Brewer ended up with 3 tackles. He had the pressure on Goff that led to Christian Izzian's interception. So I thought he played really well. I thought Gaines stepped in and played really well as a nose tackle. Braswell had some flashes as well too. Diaby's been consistently getting pressure, and they've been using him. Bulls have been dropping his linebackers a lot in coverage. So you saw that happen a few times. But on the whole, I think there's a lot to take from this game. Watch the film and say, hey, we beat a Super Bowl favorite. A lot of people in the league were saying Lions are one of the teams to beat in the NFC. They could be in the Super Bowl. These are one of the teams that come February, we might be talking about, certainly late January. And the Bucs came into their home in a very loud environment, and they beat them 20-16 in a grindy game. And to me, what that shows too, and this is going to be one of my takeaways in tomorrow, my extra point that comes out tomorrow, is the Bucs' week 1 win and their week 2 win were very different. Their week 1 win, they were airing the ball out. They're 4 touchdowns. They're getting after it. They're chipping in the running game. They're playing solid defense. Week 2, they're down a bunch of guys, but it's a gritty game. It's a hard-fought game. You're fighting for every inch out there, as Al Pacino would say. I think that shows them that, hey, early on in the season, that we know we can win both ways. We can win the high-scoring shootouts. We can win the high-scoring, air the ball out and get it out there. But we can also win these not necessarily low-scoring, but grinding games, right? The Bucs were leading the time of possession most of that until the third. I think the fourth quarter is when Detroit started to take the edge there, and it kind of finished Detroit with 33 minutes and the Bucs with 26 minutes. But they were controlling the pace of the game. One of my keys, getting the ball out quick. One of my keys, getting pressure on Goff. One of my keys, pat myself in the back. But they did all those 3 things, and you end up with a victory. I will eat the crow. I'm going to eat it. I picked the Bucs to lose. I did. I picked them to lose before the season started, and I picked them to lose in my predictions this week. I was wrong, and I will eat that. And I am nothing more than pleased to eat that. I'm very happy about that for this team. I'm very happy when they prove me wrong. But I think it just shows them that this team is one of the closest teams I've ever been around in my 5 seasons covering the Bucs. And one of the closest teams I've ever kind of read about, even going back to some of these Patriots teams, the undefeated teams. I think that having that trust and that chemistry and that camaraderie with each other and winning this game the way they did, a rematch, a lot of sour taste. Remember, there's a lot of guys here who played in that game, sour taste in their mouth, and they're able to come out with a win in a gritty fashion. So I think it was it showed the team a lot that they could win different ways. Space Window says Tucker 44 can run that ball. They need him. Tucker hasn't been able to get into the game yet. We'll see if that happens. Eventually, if the guys continue to be non-efficient with White and Irving, then maybe they'll give him a couple runs. Bryce says Tucker wouldn't have helped today. The run game is more on the O-line than White or Buckwheat. I agree with that. I think more so on the O-line, and not just the O-line, though. Again, the guys on defense get paid too. They get paid too. And they played really good. Reeder and McNeil, they played really well. So I'm not going to completely put it on the O-line. Richard said the real question is, can the Bucs do a fourth quarter comeback for win? Yet to be seen so far this season. I'll trump you one more. Can the Bucs score a first possession drive touchdown? Can they? Can they? They haven't done it since 2022 when they played the Atlanta Falcons. They didn't do it in that Dallas Cowboys game. That was the end of Tom Brady's career. They didn't do it all last year. We're looking at 21 straight games where they have not scored an opening possession touchdown. And they're winning. Maybe they don't need to. I don't know. But getting off to a fast start would certainly help them. It will certainly help them once they start playing some of these other teams. I mean, but who knows? You just watch the Chiefs game. It comes down to a last-second field goal. 26-25. Like, that's not a shootout, I don't know, but they still haven't done it. That's crazy to me. Michael Chavez has thoughts on the 3rd and 6 play call at the end of the game. I thought it was a good call. I thought it's Mike Evans. Baker's got to get that ball up a little bit more. They just read it, knew what he was doing. I wasn't upset with the play call. I know Baker's like, we should have, ran the ball or something like that, but take some more time off the clock, make him burn a timeout. But at that point, you're going for the win. And I don't mind that. I don't mind being physical. The running game had done nada all day. So if you're going to run the ball, you're probably not going to get it. So now you're just making him burn a timeout. Great. They still have time left on the clock. I like the aggressiveness. I wish they were aggressive a few other times in the game, but I like the aggressiveness going for that situation. I like the aggressiveness saying, hey, we're going to pass it. We're going to try to win this game right here. We're backed up. We're going to try to win this game right here. Let's do it. Camarda's punt, on the other hand, was atrocious. Dude's got to get it together. He's got to get it together. I like him personally. I like what I've seen the last few years. This year, not so much. Thankfully, the Bucs haven't needed him so much because they've been scoring so often. This drive series of this team, let me just bring it up. Possession. They had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 punts. They had 1, 2, 3, 4 scoring possessions. End of the game, and an interception. The last week, they only had 1 punt. They've been, I think Camarda's got to get his head on straight. So, but I wasn't upset with it. I wasn't upset. Hassan Reddick's not coming here, Kev. I hate to burst your bubble. They will not be trading for Hassan Reddick. They will not be giving him a large contract, especially not at his age. The hope there is that one of these guys can develop. Yaya can kind of develop. Right now, his 12 sack prediction is kind of killing me. But hey, you never know. Just had 4.5 sacks. So maybe it just goes off in one game. Christopher Cole, what's up, man? Good to see you. Always appreciate you joining in here. 22 now is 22. Yeah, today was 22 now. 22 straight games without a first possession touchdown. They should have went for it. Christopher Cole, I agree. He says they should have went for it on the first drive. I completely agree there. I think they should have. You're down at inside the red zone. Granted, they were backed up now because of the 12-yard sack, strip sack, but I still think you're that close. You kind of go for it. But hey, getting the 3 points ultimately led to them leading the entire game. So I'm not upset with that. I thought that was a good call for them. At the end of the day, actually not the entire game. I forgot. Dave Montgomery's touchdown in the third had them put behind. Baker Mayfield got them back in the league, but had you leading till then, So it is what it is. Sometimes Bowles will offer the points. He's a points type of guy. He wants them. He trusts his defense, and his defense did well. Bryce said, I'm not mad at the 3rd and 6 call. Just wish they would have gone the other side instead of the side the pressure was coming from all game. If you're talking about running the ball, the pressure, yeah. It was just, I don't know. Richard says, I was big on Camarda, but I'm starting to give up on the dude. He's not getting the ball to the end zone, not flipping the field, not pinning teams back. Yeah, that was like a 41-yard punt. Atrocious. You can't do that. You're giving the ball at midfield pretty much to start, plus the return of 10 yards. Yeah, not good. So, again, if you guys are just tuning in, doing just a little game recap here on Parlay. I'm your host, JC Allen. Make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, turning on notifications. That way, reminders when I go live. You guys will know about it. All my people over on Twitter, there's 330 of you now. Appreciate you for sure. Come over to you, Tim. It's much fun. We got cookies over here. And you guys can enter in the chat, talk, say some stuff, like, subscribe. Appreciate y'all as always. Anything else? You guys got anything else you want to talk about? There's a chance Kancey could be back this week. They might try to play it safe going against the Lions and have him ready for the Eagles. I doubt Antoine Winfield Jr. is back this week. Josh Hayes is someone who might be back. I would think Luke Gedecke's back this week. Again, if it's longer than that, then it's pretty serious. And, now it's not a time concern for worry. But what are your takes? What are your thoughts after the win? What are your thoughts after hearing, I reported Vita Vea, just an MCL tear or MCL sprain. Sprains and tears, usually 2 to 6 week timeline there. Isn't going to require surgery. Initial diagnosis, he will have an MRI tomorrow to confirm that. But anything else you guys want to talk about? Feel free to drop it in the comments over here. I'll get to it. In the meantime, I'm going to give another one of our sponsors a huge shout out. Mosley Heating and Air. We appreciate Mosley Heating and Air. When Florida heat hits hard, trust me, it does. It's starting to cool off a little bit. A little humid, but the temperature is starting to kind of die down. But still, you need AC. So trust Mosley Heating and Air to keep you cool and comfortable. With over 25 years of experience, the family-owned business knows what it takes to keep your home's HVAC system running smoothly. Need a repair, a new system, or a maintenance plan? They've got you covered. Call Mosley Heating and Air at 813-230-3742 or visit mosleyheatingandair.com. Mosley Heating and Air, where comfort meets reliability. So huge shout out to them. Love that, having them as a sponsor. My son plays football with the owner's son. Both of our teams got big wins yesterday against the Chiefs. Against the Steelers. They play for the Chiefs, Luch Chiefs. There are no Buccaneers teams, Pop Warner teams in Tampa on purpose, I'm sure. But yeah, my son's team won 32-0. Smashed these boys. It was pretty good. It's a pretty good game. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, again, I want to appreciate you guys for stopping by. If anyone has anything last minute, drop it in the comments. I'll get to it. But Denver Broncos are up on the schedule next. Bo Nix looks lost. Sean Payton comes to town. It's always nice to beat Sean Payton. It's a 1:00 game. Expect the Bucs to be in their white jerseys. It's a forgiven. It's a 1:00 game in Tampa. They'll be wearing white. Hopefully we'll get those red uniforms out and the pewter uniforms out later in the year. But they will be wearing white. And then after that, Eagles. Eagles come to town week 4. The Devin White-less Eagles, I should say. All that talk about a revenge game for him. But turns out he's going to be on the bench playing special teams. Ooh, tough hit. $100 million man. Christopher Cole says thoughts on the timeouts Bowles took at the end. Yeah, you take the timeouts at the end. You're trying to at that point, if you get the ball back, you need to have them. You need to have some time left. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I will say he did go in the half with one timeout. He wasn't giving all those timeouts up this game. He went into the half with one timeout. I posted the team stats before the half. Someone caught it. I put all the rushing versus passing, all that stuff like that. I just put at the bottom remaining timeouts. Bucs 1, Lions 0. Someone caught it. It was pretty funny to me. Richard says Sean Payton has a face we'd like to punch. Yes, unless he's played by Kevin James in that Netflix movie, then that's a little different story there. That's a different story there, right? Kevin James, national treasure, king and queens. Love that. But hey, that's going to do it for me, guys. I got nothing else unless you guys have nothing else. Kind of preview the offense, the defense, special teams. I thought played well. When are we going to see a kick return, man? All these teams keep kicking it out of the end zone. It's like we started at the 20 for a touchback. Then it was a 25. Now we're at the 30-yard line for a touchback. You think it'd be a little easier for scoring drives now that you only have 70 yards to go instead of 80 or 85, but or 75 rather. But yeah, still Bucs aren't getting the opportunity to bring this ball out, and they've got two dynamic returners in Tucker and Bucky. So we'll see if that changes coming up this week. Other than that, Bucs fans, heck of a win. Make sure you guys are going over to Bucs Game Day for all of your Buccaneers content. put it in the rotation. I'm sure you guys read some other publications, but I'm telling you, we are cranking out some great stuff right now. Consistent content across the board. I have my weekly pieces, my takeaways of the game, my, looking into the matchup, kind of pointing out the best players and stuff that you need to watch if you're not too familiar with that team on Sunday. Matchup history, keys to cannon fire. I've got so many other things there too, kind of your one-stop shop go-to for all your Buccaneers news. Follow me on Twitter or X if you're not already. I'm sure most of you guys are, and I appreciate that. But give me a follow there. And always keep it here for the Pirate Parlay podcast. But make sure you turn on those reminders. You never know. If we go Tuesday, it's because we got a player. If not, we usually go Wednesday, and then we'll go again Friday. Or maybe it's, who knows? Who knows? And then we do a game after recap. We're all over the place here. We don't have a set schedule because we live life on the seat of our on the edge of our seat, and we have fun with it. Just like all Bucs fans were at the end of this game today on the edge of their seat. But that's going to do it for us over here. I appreciate everybody. Again, thanks for tuning into the Pirate Parlay podcast here on the Sick Podcast Network. Like, subscribe, reminders, tell a friend, guys. Get us in front of the algorithm. Like, we should be way up there with subscribers on here, man, with all the players and coaches and stuff. Share it. Send it to a friend. Promote for me. But I'll talk to you guys this week. What's today, Sunday? So this week, a couple times. That's going to do it for us. Wrapping it up here. Peace out from Parlay Podcast. We're out of here. Bye.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Pirate Parlay on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.